Okay, you have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers predictions. So Tampa Bay had an interesting offseason. Tom Brady retired and unretired. I think overall, I think the team got slightly weaker. Tom Brady returning is definitely a huge plus, but they lost a couple of offensive linemen. Um, Secondary is not great. I think they lost a couple of defensive players, but still, I think they're still a very talented team. And Tom Brady returning, I think he's gonna have his great season. So let's see. We got first game versus Dallas. Dallas is a talented team. The last year they played, Dallas almost won, but they lost. Both teams I think are slightly worse, but I think coming back, both teams are experienced. But I think Tampa Bay may need to adjust their like game plan a little bit, and Dallas not really. So I'm gonna take Dallas. And you have the Denver versus New Orleans Saints. Obviously, they're kryptonite. Saints have swept them like the past 2 years. I don't think Tom Brady has beaten them in the regular season. I don't see them doing it this year. They have Jameis Winston again, and a good defense. So I think I'm gonna pick the Saints. Then you have them versus the Packers after an 0-2 start. I think this is when they start to heat up. Packers, they're visiting on the road against the Bucks. And the Bucks blew them out last year. Yeah, they did. And then their defense is still intact, I think, for the most part. But I think there's their offense. So I think this is more going to be a defensive game. And with the Tampa Bay Heat, not that hot, but still hot for the Packers. I'm going to pick the Tampa Bay to win. Then you have them versus the Chiefs. Another team like similar to the Packers, they lost a bit, but I think their Kansas City's defense is slightly worse. I think the Tampa Bay offense can take advantage of it. I think it's going to be opposite that pattern. It's going to be high scoring. Chiefs, they do have some good pieces. I think it's too early. They do have a lot of rookies, and I think the Chiefs will struggle early on. I'm going to take the Tampa Bay. Then you have them versus the Falcons. Falcons are rebuilding, and they have not done well against Tom Brady like at all. So I'm going to take Tampa Bay. Steelers, I think at this point they're going to start Kenny Pickett in his first start. And Steelers, they still have a very talented team. They pretty much their team didn't change, but they did get a good defense. They did lose some weapons. They could pick it, and for them, I just don't think Steelers are very talented right now. So I take the Bucks. Then you have Buccaneers versus the Panthers. Ooh, let's see. Panthers. Panthers definitely divisional game is tricky, but usually the NFC South is a weak division, so I don't think Tampa Bay will struggle against a divisional opponent. Carolina can definitely be a trap team. Sam Darnold may be starting or Corral, but either way, I think their defense is very young and has a lot of potential. But still, I don't think Tom Brady will fall for it. I'm gonna take the Buccaneers. Then you have them versus the Ravens. Ravens are an interesting team. They have Lamar Jackson, and they have a good defense. I think their defense definitely improved with Hamilton and them getting healthy. I think healthy at this point, week 8. I think hopefully their health stays up, but I think the huge X factor for this game will be Lamar Jackson's leg. I don't think the Tampa Bay defense will know how to handle him, so I'll have the upset. I'm gonna have the Ravens beating the Bucks, especially coming off that 5-win streak. Then you have the Bucks versus the Rams, coming off a loss. I don't see them losing twice in a row. And Rams have to travel a long way. Rams are definitely, I think, more talented. They have a good defense. They brought in Wagner to and replace. They did lose Von Miller, but they have a talented offense. They still have Stafford. They brought in Robinson, and still, I think the travel is going to be too big. Tampa Bay can definitely challenge them, and I think with the home field advantage, I'm going to take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Then you have Denver versus Seattle. Seattle, another rebuilding team. I'm going to take the Bucks. Then you have your bye, and then you have them versus the Browns. I think Browns are similar. I think by this point they'll get Deshaun Watson, and with Deshaun Watson, the Browns have a ton of talent. Cooper, the running back duo, Miles Garrett, Ward. And I think they're just as talented as the Bucks, maybe even a bit more, but more potential. But Buccaneers are coming off a bye, and I think that bye will benefit, especially when Tom Brady is your quarterback. And this is going to be a close game, a very underrated good game in my book. I'm gonna take the Bucks. Then you have them versus the Saints. Saints, like I said, kryptonite this time. I still think on Monday night, Saints, I don't know what they do against Tom Brady, but Tom Brady just does not do well against the Saints, and I see that this year, so I have the Saints sweeping the Buccaneers. Then you have them versus the San Francisco. I think San Francisco's gonna depends. Either by now they have Trey Lance or Jimmy G in. If it's Trey Lance, I think San Francisco's a good chance, but I think Jimmy G's ceiling is just too low. He's gonna throw a bunch of picks against the Tampa Bay's defense. San Francisco definitely has talent, Bosa, Debo, Kittle, and but their defense, I think Tampa Bay can do well against the San Francisco 49ers defense, but I don't know. I think it's just too much of a travel going all the way to the West Coast after that Monday nighter, so I'm gonna pick the San Francisco. Pick the upset. Then you have them versus the Bengals after back-to-back games. I don't see them losing again. I think Bengals, I like their team, but I think their offensive line could still be a little bit better, and their defense, I think their linebackers could be better, and their cornerbacks could be as well. And I think Tom Brady will be able to expose that, so I'm gonna take the Bengals. Then you have them versus the Cardinals. Cardinals, at this point, they will have DeAndre Hopkins back, but I just don't like their team very much. They do have home field advantage, the Cardinals, and that's going to be a big home field advantage traveling all the way to the West Coast. Cardinals, they do have Kyler. Kyler Murray's good, but he can be careless with the ball a bit. They got Hollywood. Good run game. Their defense, I think, could be better. I don't think they really got much better during the offseason, and I think Tampa Bay is just a more talented version of the Cardinals. So I'm going to take Clay. Then you have them versus the Panthers. Like I said, divisional rivals are kind of weak. Panthers, they can definitely be a trap game, like I said earlier, but I don't see them doing this way. They don't really have a QB, and without QB, you can't really win. So I take the Buccaneers to sweep them. And then you have your final game versus the Falcons. Falcons are rebuilding. I don't think they really. I don't think they can really win this game unless Tampa Bay was bench their starters and they're rebuilding. They don't really have the strength right now. The Falcons, and I'm gonna definitely take the Buccaneers. And so I have them going 12-5, 4-2 division, 7-2 at home, 4-5-3 away.